Bricks and Minifigs is your one-stop shop for all things LEGO. Hit the link below to find a store near you.
Hey guys, I'm Kennedy or True Squadron on YouTube and Instagram. I have my Battle Utapau mock here that I built in a couple months on my YouTube channel, and this kind of depicts the initial clone invasion taking on the droids. So the main idea of this is I definitely wanted to build the big rock wall on the initially the first part, and then the Utapau city, which you don't really see that often that people build. So I based it mostly off of Star Wars Battlefront 2, since you don't get to see too much of it in the movie, since it's probably in the movie 10 minutes maybe, but I had a lot of fun making this. So the initial first bit we can talk about, I guess, is the ground portion. I spent a lot of time on this trying to figure out exactly what I wanted to do. I built in the snot form, so I get a lot of different cracks and crevices, different caves and stuff going on the bottom here. And of course on the very bottom is the little pools of water that you kind of see for a quick second in Ridge of the Sith.
So that's the studs not on top, so you're
Right.
kind of building a plate of rock and then putting it on its side, essentially.
Correct. Yes, you can get, at least in my opinion, you can get a lot more detail, a lot more color variation than just doing slopes and stuff like that. It's my first time building like that, and I probably will do it in the future if I had to build any other rock work. So I'm really happy how the bottom section turned out. We have a custom vehicle here made by LegoMan 360. So this is really cool. Had some little light here going in. This is a very obscure vehicle. You see it for a few shots in Revenge of the Sith. So I'm really happy I got this in as a custom vehicle for the mock.
That's something I think is so fun with some of these Star Wars builds is builders will take something really obscure but then make a really beautiful build based on it.
Right. Yeah, it's pretty amazing. It's pretty amazing that I never really knew until I was researching for this mock that you see it in little bit of shots. So I'm really happy how this turned out. I also have other custom little builds here on the end. We have a Boga, and of course the Grievous chase scene. I had to include it somewhere, so we have Grievous and Obi-Wan chasing each other there on the bottom rock portion. And that's kind of it for the bottom section. I also have the little Lego Star Wars little icons on there, and also a crab droid crawling up.
You got to get your Star Wars video game references in.
Yes, I had to. So if we go up to the city portion of it, I had to, of course, include all the multiple different landing pads, since that's kind of iconic for this. So I have a longer one over here. This one is definitely coming out a lot, and then we have a smaller one on that side. So the first one here, we have an ATTE going down with Commander Cody getting the iconic message of Order 66. So I had to include that portion, and they're just engaging a lot of different battle droids and different crab droids coming up, which I had to include. And on the ground, I made sure that I include a lot of the iconic little wedge or triangle details of the dark tan in the ground. So that was kind of a big deal for me to do that. They have a kind of a taller, skyscraper-ish building over here with some battle droids shooting down. Let's see where we go. Oh, and then over here we have our kind of more of you see it in 2 seconds of the movie. I had to include it. It's more of a light gray building. Nothing too much to it, but kind of on some pillars with some battle droids on top, trying to take out the invading clones. And then, of course, it's the main landing pad here, coming out with a gunship, landing a bunch of clone troopers, again, engaging all the droid forces. So I had to, that was my favorite scene, seeing this for a few seconds in the movie, so I had to make sure to include this little bit of the gunship on top. Now, the main kind of building of the build is this right here. Again, you see it few seconds in the movie. I think it looks like some kind of hotel to me, so it's some kind of multi-layered different rooms on top. So that's what I try to accomplish here. So to have the first floor and the second floor with a little catwalk. I really like how that turned out. Of course, all the droids have taken over the building. So and then the very top we have a little bit of some of the natives. There are the Powans there, some custom figures. So I thought that was kind of fun, and them fighting back, since you don't really see that in the movie at all, even though they're supposed to be fighting back against the droids, so I had to include a little bit of that. I also have some clone forces helping them out. And then the bottom here, we have, again, the clone forces have kind of pushed up a lot more, taking out the droids on their initial invasion. So
I love what you've done with the architectural details here of kind of those clear elements behind the kind of tan and dark tan elements.
Yep.
So what's that structurally kind of inside there? How's that staying together?
It's actually, so I drove here from Texas, 13-hour drive, and it actually stayed together completely. So I was really happy about it. Nothing too crazy inside. It's just brick built, basically. I wouldn't include lights, but I actually never done lights in my mock before, so I got to try to do that next time.
And this landscaping is fantastic. You mentioned a little bit earlier kind of the studs not on top technique, but talk about some more of the particular pieces that you've found work well there and how you've created some of these different patterns.
Yeah, for sure. So I use a lot of, if you can see in the cracks here, there's a lot of wedge plates getting those designs in the cracks. That was kind of a big deal to me. It's just in the kind of rock you see, there's lots of different cracks and crevices. So you use a lot of wedge plates and then these the wedge bricks, the slope, the pieces that kind of go all the way across. I also really like using, there's these rock pieces right here. They actually look like rock. I use a lot of those, so try to give it that earthy feeling. And then of course I sprinkled in different bits of color of like the olive green and medium nougat just to give some variety in there.
Yeah. And do you know how many pieces are in the whole build?
I actually have no idea. I did not count. I know I ordered a ton of pieces for just specifically for the rock portion. I had a ton of these the tan pieces already. So I would have to say maybe 25,000, maybe so. Yeah.
And you mentioned some custom minifigs there. What are most of the minifigs made up of here?
Yeah, so I wanted to include a lot of the original 2014 style 212th Troopers. They're my favorite, like the realistic style. So I had a ton of them growing up. I got them back when, for birthdays and stuff like that. So I didn't have to really buy any, which is really awesome. They also have custom arm printing, so I give them a little extra detail. So those are the main figures I used for the list of clone troopers, and then I used a couple different custom battle droids here. These are Clone custom battle droids that are really nice. You can get a lot more posability with them. So used a few of them in the mock.
Yeah, it looks fantastic. So with a scene like this, what is the kind of source material like when you're working on this? Are you looking at screenshots, photos? What is that like?
Yeah, so for the Battle of Utapau, it's kind of interesting. You don't get to really see too much of the city, so I had a lot of creative liberty with this. And also, again, Star Wars Battlefront 2, they have a big Utapau map, so I had to look. I played multiple different games of that to try to get some reference photos and stuff for this. But the other cool thing about this particular build is a lot of it were just big models that they made. So I took a lot of reference from the models, and the actual the rocks and everything was actually physically made. It was really cool. You can see people inside the mountains, putting in all the buildings and stuff. So that was a big reference looking at all the models.
Yeah. And then with the large cliff face itself, what is holding that up in the back? Because obviously with the studs not on top building, that's just kind of a large plate that you've stuck there.
Yeah, so basically the front is just a facade. There's just big H-beam kind of pillars in the back. I didn't really have enough pieces to actually build it up completely, thick of just bricks. So I built these. Actually, my mom, shout out to my mom, she helped me out a lot with the H-beams in the back, holding up the mock. It does the job, as you can see. It's not the most, if I do it again, I probably would make it a little bit sturdier, but as you can see, it's holding up today, so I'm pretty happy with it.
I love a good family group project. That's always great to get some other contributors in there. Do you post your builds online if people want to see kind of more of your future projects?
Right, yeah. So I do large Lego Star Wars build series on my channel on True Squadron. So before this, I built a massive 40 baseplate Kashyyyk. I didn't get to take it anywhere, but next build I do is definitely going to try to go bigger and better each time. So I'm really happy how this turned out today.
Yeah. Thanks so much for all the effort building this and bringing it out to the show here. I appreciate it.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you.